All right, from one half of the Eye of College Basketball podcast, the other, our Matt Norlander checking on HQ this morning. And Matt, I know you didn't get any sleep. A busy day for you yesterday. I'm curious, though, your reaction to Selection Sunday. Did you get it right? 66 to 68. I think that's what Jerry Palm had. What would your numbers look like?
I would have had 67 out of 68. Louisville not making the field, I don't have a huge issue with, but it was a surprise. Louisville not making the field. I had a little bit more of an issue. And listen, I'm thrilled to have an issue. As I said on the Sunday night edition of Eye on College Basketball, that we can critique the committee again is just a reward unto itself. And put this all in perspective here. Just the fact that like Syracuse isn't even in the first four was surprising to me. Drake I would have had easily more into the field. It was the last team in. Some seeding stuff here and there. West Virginia, 10th overall seed, Oklahoma State, 15th. Just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But I tell you what, it just felt magnificent to finally get a bracket again, to have this tournament back. Yesterday was joyous, cathartic, and I do kind of like, listen, for the young ones out there who don't know, back in the day, bracket on Sunday night, you get nothing until Thursday. Okay, no first four on Tuesday and Wednesday, you wait. We're doing that again, 1 year only. And we'll start with all first four games on Thursday.
Let's start with one of those matchups there, the first four, UCLA, Michigan State. Two teams you've had your eye on the past few weeks. Are they trending in the right direction? How do you think this one might pan out?
This is the last first four tip on Thursday, scheduled for 9:57. UCLA has been skittish. Either team is capable of winning, of course. The line is actually lower than I thought it would be. I was figuring Michigan State might be closer to 2.5 or 3. It's got the better roster, has the better wins. I mean, Michigan State has defeated the likes of Illinois and Ohio State and gotten some high-level wins that UCLA just can't match overall. We were talking for weeks about, will we have these high-level blue blood programs in the first four? Obviously Duke got thrown into there, even though we all knew they were done for a while. And we do. We have UCLA, Michigan State. Those are, two of the 10 to 12 greatest programs in history. UCLA is sitting right there as a top 5 all-timer. So real quick on Drake, Wichita State. That is an old-school Missouri Valley matchup, which is interesting. Drake's the better team. I got Drake winning that game there. Now, Wichita State can win, but I think Wichita State actually had the weakest resume of any team that made the field as an at-large. Drake gets its best player back in Tank Hemphill. That is a better game than I think people are initially giving credit for.
Yeah, Drake, of course, they had injury problems leading into the tournament, so hopefully that changes now in it. Let's break down some of these regions, starting with the West, where we find Gonzaga #1 there.
Yeah, here's my thing with Gonzaga, and we also talked about this on Eye on College Basketball, both in the main episode, and we're going to have 4 region-by-region breakdown episodes for you. Go find the feed if you can. What are we doing here? Iowa as a 2, Kansas as a 3, Virginia as a 4. I'll get to them in a second. Gonzaga has already beaten all of those teams this season, so it's just a little bit of a letdown that the committee didn't step back and say, oh, wow, if this #1 undefeated team, the 3 highest teams in its region, they've already faced. I would have liked a little more variety, even though there's no guarantee Gonzaga would necessarily play Virginia in the Sweet 16 or the teams in the bottom half. Let me quickly lay out the Virginia situation, because this is very important to know, and I've gotten a lot of questions about this already. Tony Bennett on Sunday night said, we have our entire team basically in contact tracing quarantine. They are not leaving for Indianapolis until Friday. They cannot even leave their quarantine until Thursday. Health officials and the NCAA clearly decided, you know what, let's do what's fairest. If they can get to Indianapolis in time, we're going to allow them to remain eligible for the NCAA tournament. So Virginia is going to have to hope that on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and Thursday, that all of those tests continue to come back negative. If they have a certain number that come back positive before 6 p.m. on Tuesday, Virginia would drop out of the bracket. Louisville, the 69th team, would jump into the bracket and play Ohio. If we don't know that answer by Tuesday and that becomes a reality by Wednesday, then Louisville doesn't get to drop in. Virginia then drops out, and Ohio has what's known as a walkover in tennis, or a no contest here, and it would advance into the second round.
We have to see as well with Kansas, of course, dealing with the COVID issues there, leading into their Big 12 tournament there. Let's move over to the South. We have Baylor's #1 and some other teams that you might have your eye on.
Yeah, Baylor is the one in the South. This is an interesting one here. So I'm going to roll down these matchups real quick for you. North Carolina, Wisconsin is interesting because North Carolina struggled earlier in the season. It's been better as of late. Wisconsin has been an up and down team for 2 months there. So that's fascinating. I think Wisconsin's win percentage in its past, 40 games in Mackey Arena, by the way, is like .10. It's really, really bad. The Wisconsin fans have taken notice of where they're playing that game and they aren't happy. Winthrop over Villanova is probably the most common 12 over 5. And that comes with good reason. I've got a little bit of resistance to it when so many people are riding a 12 over 5. More than you not want to take that. North Texas got a tough draw here playing against Purdue. They're playing so well. I love Purdue to come out of that side of it, and Baylor obviously to make the Sweet 16. If we can scroll down to the bottom half of this bracket here, I love the synergy. Let's go. I do like Utah State over Texas Tech a lot. I think Craig Smith, underrated coach for the Aggies there. Texas Tech is good, but it has taken on a lot of losses. The metrics are kind of split on them. Arkansas, Colgate, you don't even know how good that game's going to be. I mean, we're talking both those teams want to hit 100. That could be the most entertaining first-round game there. And then Virginia Tech, Florida, Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's probably rightfully seeded, but it is better than a 10 seed. And Florida's worse than a 7 seed. If Virginia Tech wins that, it's by no means going to be any kind of upset there. I think that this bottom half could have some real chaos to it. Ultimately, I like Arkansas to come out, beat Ohio State, and face Baylor in the Elite Eight before Baylor moves on to the Final Four.
That Arkansas Colgate, that might be pretty interesting. We call that buckets galore back in the old days there. About the Midwest, though. The Fighting Illini, I don't know about you, but they're my Final Four. What do you think about them in the Midwest and others?
Yes, I also, when I filed my bracket for CBSSports.com on Sunday, I have Illinois coming out of this, but they didn't get any favors. Here's a weird thing. So let's keep this whole thing up here for a second. The bottom half, Illinois got a favor. I think the bottom half is probably the weakest bottom half of any region, but the top half isn't no fun. Loyola Chicago, its metrics, it's number 9 at KenPom. 9th best team according to predictive metrics, and Illinois might have to play that in-state rival in the second round. Not easy. Or Georgia Tech, which just won the ACC tournament. And then the 4-5s here, Oklahoma State got jobbed. It should be a 3. It's really got no business being a 4. Second most quad 1 wins in college basketball. It's on the 4 line because it got swept by TCU, which was not a good team, but that was a little bit of shock, and they got no favors having to play Liberty. Tennessee has been inconsistent, but defensively it's a top 5 team. So Illinois playing either Oklahoma State or Tennessee in the Sweet 16 is a tough draw. On the bottom half, I love San Diego State to beat Syracuse. I think Morehead State is going to push West Virginia. Morehead State has 1 loss in the past 2.5 months there. Certainly a game to keep an eye on. Clemson and Rutgers is a fascinating one just because first tournament for Rutgers since '91. Clemson has wins over Purdue, Alabama, go down the list, North Carolina, Virginia Tech. It's just beaten like 7 NCAA tournament teams. So I'm not surprised by the seeding there. They can do some damage. Don't sleep on Houston in the region. So I think Houston's going to get a good game from Cleveland State. It'll move on. But ultimately, I like Illinois to come out of that corner of the bracket. And what I think will be, that'll probably be the best combination of all 8 first-round games that are going to be the closest. My guess is that region.
All right, let's look in the East where we find Michigan, even some games with Georgetown, UConn, and Maryland. I think this is, in my opinion, one of the most interesting heading into the weekend.
Yeah, no, this is intriguing. Michigan doesn't have Isaiah Livers, arguably its best player due to a stress injury. We don't know how long he's going to be out, but there isn't an expectation he'll be around for the first weekend. So after that, you've got Bonna versus LSU. LSU on the 8 line. Like they are this 1-8 LSU versus Michigan is an upset that can happen, and it wouldn't even be that much of an upset. LSU arguably might have as many pros on its roster as Michigan. That's interesting. I'm loving Patrick Ewing and Georgetown in this tournament, but Colorado's the better team. I would expect them to move on. And then I actually did like UNC Greensboro going in blind, not knowing who its opponent would be. It got a bad matchup. Florida State, too long, too strong. That's an intriguing one on top. Whether or not Michigan gets out of that, I'm not sure. I think Florida State might have a chance. And then bottom half, BYU as a 6, I thought was perfectly seated there. I like Michigan State to win there. Texas, a game against Abilene Christian that might get close, but I do like Texas's talent. And then Rick Pitino going up in the 15-2 versus Alabama. When Pitino was at Providence and they made the Final Four, they played Alabama to start that tournament before. I'm not saying they're going to the Final Four. I'm just saying, it's opposite ends of his coaching career, basically, the spectrum there. Great to have the Huskies back in. Maryland has more losses than any team as an at-large in the field. that will be a fun one as well. I live here in Connecticut. UConn fans, you cannot overstate how excited this team is to be, this fan base is for their team to be back in the NCAA tournament with Dan Hurley. They've got a first-round draft pick in James Bouknight.
All right, let's look at some of those first-round upsets. Of course, we know it's a neutral site there in Indianapolis. What are you looking at some of those upsets we could see?
I'm going to lean Cal Santa Barbara over Creighton. I've been vacillating on this for 12 hours. It's not quite as trendy as Winthrop over Villanova, but Cal Santa Barbara is 22-4. It's lost once since December 28th, and it has been crushing. Here's the thing. It's not just that it's won so much. It's been crushing teams. It's fairly balanced on both sides of the ball for a mid-major as well. And Creighton was horrendous against Georgetown. That was the one thing about that. Like, everyone rightfully made tons about Georgetown doing it, winning the auto bid and all that. Creighton looked bad. Gauchos as the 12. I love that the committee gave them that respect. I thought they certainly earned it. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I don't even think Georgetown's a 12. I think it's a 13, and Creighton just lost to Georgetown. You got the Gauchos on the 12 line. So, you know, I've got a few upsets, but I wanted to pin down one. This is the 12 over 5 I have my eye on, just ahead of Winthrop over Villanova, which the entire world is on, and just makes you want to say, okay, then I'm just going to take Villanova because everyone loves Winthrop there.
All right, let's look at your Monday morning Final Four. Let's just get to the Final Four for you. What do you got?
All right. I keep the right to change this, but I'm going to go. This is three ones and a 3, because this tournament could offer some real wackiness because of the unique situation surrounding it, but I can't not take Gonzaga. I wish there was a tougher team I saw Baylor facing in the Elite Eight, but I love their matchups. Now, their defense has been weak. I will ride with Baylor for now. Check back in with me on Tuesday. Illinois for sure, even though I think Illinois has the hardest road, other than maybe Michigan. And then I do have Texas coming out, beating Alabama, and then actually knocking out Florida State in that bottom left corner of the bracket. So that is my Monday morning Final Four, and that is a wickedly talented Final Four. I'm relying on talent there. There are studs and dudes across all of those rosters.
Okay, riding with Shaka Smart and the Longhorns there. That's pretty interesting. We'll see how that pans out. As you said, we'll have to check in on Tuesday to see if it stays with those Final Four there. Matt Norlander, as always, my friend, appreciate your time checking in on everything college basketball. Don't forget the Eye of College Basketball podcast, along with Matt Norlander and Gary Parrish. The guys will be busy for the next few days until we get to the weekend. Things might change, so definitely dial in for the Eye of College Basketball podcast and give the guys a listen.
Want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis. No yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.